Rabbi Rob Nosenchuk is a cancer survivor, at least for now, never knowing when his metastatic melanoma may return. Shortly after his initial diagnosis, Nosenchuk writes, a dear friend in the Muslim community called to insist that each day ahead I should taste a small spoonful of honey. He wasn't trying to convert me to Islam or foolishly trying to convince me that honey cures cancer. What he wanted from me was not to withdraw from experiencing that which sweetens life. When Mary Poppins sang that a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down, she was drawing on timeless wisdom. Even the bitterest pills life demands that we swallow may be sweetened by inviting joy into our lives as well. Moments of joy do not make our challenges disappear, but they do remind us why life is worth living. Hours of sweetness give us the strength to face what we must. Today, we wish each other a Shana Tova U'Tuka, a good and a sweet new year. We offer that blessing knowing full well that the kindling of our Rosh Hashanah lights did not magically bring an end to the trials and tribulations any of us was facing an hour earlier, ranging from a threatening diagnosis like Rabbi Nosenchuk's to deep concerns about the direction of our country or of Israel. We will confront anti-Semitism this year. We will have conflicts at home, at work, at school, and yes, a temple. Some will be bereaved. Some will lose meaningful work. Some will see their aging bodies continue to decline. Still, we will taste the apples with honey, inviting sweetness into the new year with us, without denying our challenges or expecting the sweetness to neutralize them. Welcoming students back to campus in Ontario, Canada, Hillel professionals Bev Shemansky and Jay Solomon write, we've seen it time and again. When Jewish students respond to anti-Semitism, not by retreating, but by leaning more deeply into their Jewish identity, they change their personal trajectory and the story of the Jewish people. They shift the conversation from fear to pride, from isolation to connection, from defending their existence to celebrating their lives. Shemansky and Solomon describe their work as anchored in 5 priorities, the first of which is, we will unapologetically celebrate Jewish joy with more people in more places than ever before. Yes, they will confront horrifying, frightening anti-Semitism, often clothed as Israel bashing that goes far beyond legitimate criticism. But they will not let that define their students' campus Jewish experience. One of the strangest narratives in the Torah takes place after Moses reluctantly accepted God's call to approach Pharaoh, demanding that he free the Israelites. After God has charged Moses, we suddenly read, at a night encampment on the way, Adonai encountered him and sought to kill him. So Zipporah, Moses' wife, took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and touched his legs with it, saying, you are a bridegroom of blood to me. And when God let him alone, she added, a bridegroom of blood because of the circumcision. Weird wording aside, Moses has apparently failed to circumcise his newborn. Perhaps, as several commentators suggest, Moses was convinced that he had to keep moving, which would present a mortal danger to his child by not waiting for him to heal after the circumcision. More likely, though, Moses is paralyzed by a larger fear of the awesome, potentially lethal mission that God has laid out for him. Moses focuses on his troubles and on his duties, even to the exclusion of celebrating the birth of his son. He has denied the joy of the occasion not only to himself but to Zipporah as well. He has let the stress overtake his life, unmitigated by the blessing that was rightly his and Zipporah's. On July 31st, 2021, David Jaffe was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, a painful autoimmune disease that can be treated but not cured. Then he explains, over the course of the next year and a half, I would have 3 hospital stays, would try 4 different types of medication therapy that failed, see 3 registered dietitians and 4 different gastroenterologists, work with 2 different therapists, and receive more blood tests, CT scans, and ultrasounds than I can remember. Lest I forget, I would also finish my 5th year of rabbinic school, become ordained as a rabbi, have over 20 interviews throughout the rabbinic job search, get married, and start a new job. My life at the time could be summed up in one word: chaos. Soon-to-be Rabbi Jaffe found refuge in the deep wells of Jewish blessings. He writes, when my life turned to chaos, I began to recite blessings before all of my actions. Before brushing my teeth, I would recite a blessing. Before taking a walk, I would recite a blessing. Before entering a classroom to learn, I would recite a blessing. Before listening to music, I would recite a blessing. By reciting a blessing before an action, regardless of the specific words that I might be saying in that blessing, I was creating something reliable in my life. I had some control. Rabbi Jaffe had more than control. He had the ability to express joy, the discipline to count his blessings, praising God for the mundane goodness of his life amidst the chaos of illness and uncertainty, not to mention the growing realization that his affliction would be lifelong. When a congregational search committee asked his favorite blessing, he answered immediately, Hamotzi, the blessing over a meal or bread. The committee broke out laughing. They hadn't expected such a simple and to them simplistic answer. Rabbi Jaffe describes, though, something the committee couldn't fathom. His longing for the moment when my doctor said I could eat solid food again. They also didn't know how meaningful a moment it would be when I could finally say that blessing over my plain, soggy hospital toast. Neither the honey nor the joy it symbolizes will cure all that ails us, any more than it prevents Rabbi Nosenchuk from facing a cancer recurrence or ends Rabbi Jaffe's painful chronic disease. And it certainly won't prevent Jewish college students from having to endure Israel bashing and even anti-Semitism. Neither the honey nor the sweetness it symbolizes will change the news that makes people's blood boil, whether it comes from Washington, from our state capital, or from Israel. Nor will it stop the criticism of President Trump, Governor Sanders, or Prime Minister Netanyahu that makes other people's blood boil. And the sweetness will stop neither the governmental actions nor the responses to them from being harmful. Our lives, though, are so much more than the troubles that assault us. Yes, we must take our medicine and help our afflicted family and friends. And yes, we are obligated to combat injustice whenever and wherever we can. Those are all necessary but insufficient to live a positive, meaningful life. The rabbis facing illness, that, like the Hillel directors, are in it for the long haul. We all are. Resilience is required if we're truly going to enjoy Hashanah Tova Umtuka, a good and sweet year. Let us all find our joy in 5786 and let us seize it. Then, our eyes wide open to all that ails us. Let nobody be fooled into thinking that a spoonful of honey will solve all our problems. But may our lives bring us joy all the same. Poetry says it best, so I'll conclude with a snippet of Yehuda Amichai's poem, A Man in His Life. Ecclesiastes was wrong about this, that there is a time for every purpose. A person must hate and love at the same moment, cry and laugh with the same eyes. Ken Yiratzon, may that be God's will, and let us all say.